Pleasant evening to you, Guyana. Welcome to yet another program of Let's Talk with Annette. For tonight, it's Wednesday, the sixth day in the month of December, the last month in the year of 2023. And I know many of you might have said, "Thank you, Jesus, I have made it. I have made it to the final month so far for 2023. I also want to shout out my viewers and listeners on the social media platform. A pleasant night to you and welcome to another program of Let's Talk with Annette. And I encourage you to share this program because tonight's discussion would be one of interest and of education, or enlightenment. I also want to, before I get into the program, to say to you that I will open up the phone lines for a few minutes for you to call and share on the issues I intend to discuss this evening. And the number, the operator will so ably assist by placing the number on the screen of the television there, 649-2473. 649-2473. And I repeat again, 649-2473. So once again, a pleasant Wednesday to you. I trust that your week started on good sounding, and whatever goals or objectives you might have set yourself thus far, you were able to accomplish it. Though Wednesday, it's the midday in any week, right? So I just want to encourage you to set those goals and to have them accomplished, right? And so you still have a few more days remaining in the week to get things done as you plan. So once again, welcome to Let's Talk with Annette. I also want to take this opportunity in extending birth anniversary greetings to those of you who are having a birthday today. I know one of my colleagues, Amanda Walton is here. She's celebrating a birthday today. And so many other friends of mine, for reasons I wouldn't want to name them publicly, but, just to keep it tight and because what can happen once you're associated with politicians, you're actually sidelined, you're actually discriminated against, right? So big shout out to those of you who are celebrating another milestone today, whether you would have done so early up in the week and will do so later down in the week. So best wishes to you as you enter another year, and may God continue to bless you. For those of you who are also celebrating a wedding anniversary, may I also extend best wishes to you and your best half. And for those of you who might have added a new bundle of joy to the family, big congratulations also. And on the sad side of things, permit me to extend deepest condolences to those of you who might lost a loved one, a friend, or a colleague. So may their souls rest in peace and find eternal glory, right? I also want to, under my announcement this evening, to say a big congratulations to me. Yes, I must say a big congratulations to me. And why am I congratulating myself? Well, I'm actually the host of a Let's Talk program, and it was my brainchild, and here I am. This program was actually launched on the 6th of December 2022, and you would remember it was the facts or something to that effect. Yeah, that was the name. So I rebranded it to Let's Talk with Annette. So yes, I'm celebrating my first anniversary on this program, and I must give God praise and thanks for bringing me thus far. Challenges are there, constraints are there, but once you have a goal set that you really want to accomplish, despite what will come your way, once God is in the midst of it, He will just fix everything right for you. So I'm so happy to be celebrating my first anniversary, and I look forward to many anniversaries like this one, December 6th, December 6th in any year, because this program was actually birthed to bring the truth, to bring enlightenment, and to educate you, the people, because we know what is happening out there. The propaganda machineries, they're at heavy work. Sometimes you get misinformation that you have to diss them sometimes, right? But this particular program will bring you the facts as they unfold, and also to bring you much enlightenment that you need to know. So, and in order to make this program, to improve on this program, sometimes it is good for us to assist in any way you can, right? In any way you can. If you see a need, and the Lord touch your heart, you can be a blessing to the blessed. You can be a blessing as a blesser, right? Okay, so I also want to remind viewers and listeners that we're in the 6th day of the 12th month. And for those of you who are having one of these electric bikes that you move around or you navigate with on a daily basis to get the children to and from school or to conduct your personal business, I want to remind you that the deadline given for those mode of transportation to be registered with the Ghana Revenue Authority is on December 29th, 2023. So December 29th, 2023. For those persons who are not tuned into this program, and of persons who are utilizing or using these transportation, please feel free to encourage them to get themselves in order. We don't want anybody getting themselves tied up with the law, and then the new year comes, you're not there to welcome 2024 with your family. So let's just do what is required of us. Let's do the right thing. Let's be abiding citizen, and things will go our way, how we planned it to go. I also want to remind you that I'll be having my little love basket. It's the time of the year when we shower or show love to the less fortunate. So I encourage you, once again, if God touches your heart, to be a blessing to that child, that orphan, that elderly person. You don't have to give money, whatever, if it's rice, sugar, flour, I will gladly welcome them just to prepare my love baskets, right? So if you need further information, you can either WhatsApp me on 623-632, or you could message me via my social media platforms. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. There you can find me. I think even TikTok, but I'm not, a regular user of that particular media. So please feel free to reach out to me so we can do what is required of us on this joyous festive occasion as we celebrate the birth of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. In the Anglican Church, we would normally call it the Advent. Yes, Advent means the coming of Christ, or the birth of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, right? Good. Moving on. Well, on tonight's program, I have my topic. Excuse me there. Will Venezuela strike? It's a question. Will Venezuela strike? But before I get into the meat of this topic, would you permit me to to highlight a few issues? Because though the Venezuela matter is of national concern, it has now been other issues have now been overshadowed with this particular national issue. So we have the payments of old age pension, not payments really, but the 25,000 cash grant that the government has approved for each elderly person. I think it's about 70,000 pensioners who are expected to receive this 25,000 cash grant. But what is of concern to me, is that because as I navigate across the country, whether, but I wouldn't say across the country, but the city and not so far out of the city, is that you have a number of venues, a number of sites that have been established temporarily, whether tents or buildings being used to effect these payments. I believe a better method could have been used by the government. Look, for instance, you have several post offices in Georgetown. You have Border, you have East La Penitence, you have Kitty Post Office, you have Camberville Post Office. Am I missing another one? And you have the General Post Office there in Georgetown. And I believe it should have been across the board something, because the post office has the infrastructure set up where payments of old age pension, other payments, whether for electricity, water, can be used. Because in each region, you have several post offices. It should be, my last count was about 66 or 67 post offices, whether post offices or you have the postal agencies, like Maybe Curie is the postal agency, and I'm trying to remember the others. But what could have happened, rather than having tents set up at the Cultural Center Tarmac, then you have tents set up at the Old Books store there on Clong Street opposite the St. Gabriel's Nursery School. Then you have several tents set up along the East Bank corridor. I witnessed yesterday, right? And the hours the elderly folks have to wait to be served is unfair to them. These are elderly people in the late 70s, 80s, some of them going to their 90s. What should have happened is that those feeble ones who can't really make it to the post offices, at least if you got the welfare officers who service those districts, they would have a database with those who are more confined to homes and all kind of thing, to go there and ensure the payments are effective, right? Also, you could have used the post offices. Use the post offices, because the post office would have the database as to the number of elderly persons that they serve. So, or like an alphabetical system could have been established too, to make things easy for our people, man. We just can't get these elderly people have to deal with the elements of the weather, whether it's rain or sun. It's unfair to them, man. I mean, we gotta do better. We cannot be in this 21st century, an oil producing country where monies are floating like sand in this country. Why can't we establish a mechanism that can really help our elderly people, man? One good day we all will get there. But I mean, we gotta put our heads together to see what is the best strategy, what is the best plan we can devise to service our elderly people. Many of them, yes, depend on whether it's the 25,000 the government giving us a cash grant, and many of them depend also on this old age pension, because that's the only thing they survive on. That's the only thing they survive on, right? So what you will find is that many of them will go down there early o'clock to get themselves serviced. So I am calling on the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security. You're supposed to be, you're supposed to show some sign of compassionate, man, when it comes to our elderly people. So we need to do better. We need to do better. Those elderly persons who got they call it bank accounts. I mean, the monies can be deposited there. Devise some plan, man, where we can make this thing easy and we don't have to have our elderly folks go through the pain every year. But this is what the People's Progressive Party Civic likes. So moving on, and it's the same thing for the old age pension books too, right? It's the same strategy being deployed by this administration, where persons have to go to these sites and under these tents or venues to be serviced. So we need to do better. The cost of living continues. The cost of living. Callers, you're gonna get a chance to call. Just bear with me. I will announce that, right? Just bear with me. Thank you. Just bear with me. I'll have to decline those calls. Yes, cost of living continues to skyrocket in this country, and up to now, it's already the sixth day in the year, in sixth day in the month of December, and I ain't hearing anything about increasing salaries for the public servants. Things tight out there. Things tight out there. So I'm calling on the administration to ensure that by next week, an announcement be made for public servants to be paid and the retroactive increase in salary. And let me tell you something, Afran Ashney Singh, Dr. Ashney Singh, let me give you your handle. Don't come with 5%. Don't come with 7% like last year. Y'all can do better. Y'all can do better. You withdraw 100 million US last week from the Natural Resource Fund. 20.8 billion Guyana dollars. It's equivalent to. And I know you got the monies to pay public servants a decent increase in salary. So I'm making a public appeal. Nothing less than 20%. Nothing less than 20%. If you could go a little further, they will welcome it. So we can do better. Right? We can do better. The other issue that seem to be under the rug for some time now is this missing 211 million US dollars cost recovery audit. So, Efren, we ain't forget you. Bharat, we ain't forget you. Vikram Bharat, sorry, we ain't forget you. We ain't forget you, people, because we still need to know where the 211 million US dollar went. So please, don't believe because of this whole Venezuela issue, we all forget the basic things or the other issues that our country face on a daily basis. So I guess on future programs we will continue that. Last week I did share with you briefly about the Natural Resource Fund Act of 2019 and the Act of 2020. Remember, the 2019 Act was the act signed into law, or the bill rather signed into law, that will become enacted by David Granger, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, on the 23rd. Is it the 23rd? It looks like the 23rd of January 2019. So when them boys came to power, they decided, well, look, this thing is too rigid, right? It's too rigid. So let me repeal and bring more an easy thing where we could get our fingers on the money at a faster rate, right? So when you look at the 2019 Act, the 2019 Act, Part 3 of that Act, speaks of the public oversight of the fund. And when it says the public oversight of the fund, what it means, there is established a committee to be known as the Public Accountability and Oversight Committee. You see, in this Act here, the 2020 Act has no provision, but the 2019 Act states that the Public Accountability and Oversight Committee shall be responsible for 1. Monitoring and evaluating the compliance of the government and the other relevant persons with the provisions of this Act. 2. Monitoring and evaluating whether the fund has been managed in accordance with the principles of transparency, good governance, and international best practices, including the Santiago Principles. Thirdly, providing independent assessment of the management of the fund and utilization of withdrawals from the fund, and facilitating public consultations. Here, public consultations on the management of the fund and utilization of withdrawals from the fund. This is the Coalition Act. This is the Coalition Act of 2019. And here, last week, I did share with you that the membership of the Public Accountability and Oversight Committee, remember last week I spoke about the 22 member committee, and this is what it says here. The Public Accountability and Oversight Committee shall consist of 22 members. Remember last week? Here it is. 22 members nominated in accordance with this section and appointed by the president as follows. So it's not the president or a minister making these appointments. It is these people. 1, a representative nominated by a consortium of civil society organizations and community-based organizations. Secondly, a nominee to represent women nominated by a consortium of civil society organization and community-based organization which represents women. Thirdly, a nominee to represent youth. So you see, we had a diverse, it would have been a diverse committee: women, youth, and members from civil society, other members from civil society organizations and community-based organizations which represent youth. So the youth would have, your youth bodies, they would have meet and they would have decided amongst themselves their nominee going forward, right? A nominee of the Bar Association of Guyana, a nominee of the Guyana Consumers Association, a nominee of the Guyana Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, a nominee of the Transparency Institute of Guyana Inc., a nominee of Guyana Press Association, a nominee of the most representative associations of trade unions, a nominee of the Guyana Institute of Chartered of Accountants of Guyana, a nominee of the Private Sector Commission, 1 nominee from each of the 10 administrative regions. Remember last week I shared that? Lastly, a nominee from academia nominated by the Governing Council of the University of Guyana. This is what the coalition framework for the Natural Resource Fund bill look like. But when you compare this particular section in the Act of 2020, that's through the window. Them people ain't want all these bodies to make up no committee. They barely got a 3-man committee. We don't know when they meet, where they meet, when is these meetings. We don't know these things. You understand me? But the coalition had a structured legislative framework how we would have expended our monies from the Natural Resource Fund. But this regime, they know nothing but good governance. They don't have transparency in them. They don't like to be transparent, and they don't like to be accountable. Look at what is happening in the National Assembly. When you ask questions, they're not giving you the appropriate responses. One minister who is now, I would say now defrocked as a minister, the guy who was involved in sexual molestation, and you know who he is or who he be. Questions that were put by a colleague of mine when he was there as minister, you know what he said? Check the estimates of 2021. How disrespectful. And these are the things the gatekeeper as their speaker allows in the National Assembly. Because it seems as though he's muzzled by them, and whatever tune they play, he gotta dance to it. But he just want to come and muzzle the opposition when we're speaking up and speaking on behalf of our people. He treats us as though we're his children. So when you're asking the hardcore questions, he wants to shut you up. Look what is happening at the level of the Public Accounts Committee. We're supposed to be having regular meetings every Monday. But they get their way. They change the standing orders to suit themselves. So the Public Accounts Committee can only meet whenever they co-rated, I think, by a minister. You understand me? This is what is happening in this country. This is what is happening in this country. So I wouldn't want to spend much time, but I think these are some of the main issues I really wanted to touch on this evening. And don't forget, the withdrawal, 100 million last week. And we're yet to know as a nation what this money will be used for. 20.8 billion Ghana dollars. What will it be used for? The National Assembly meets on Monday. This Monday coming, the 11th of December 2023. And that is private members' bill, whereby, opposition MPs, we can table motions. Well, the motions would have had to be tabled months or weeks or days ago before it gets on the order paper. So we meet on Monday for private members' day. So we have several questions on the order paper. Sorry, I didn't walk with mine this evening. We have motions on the order paper, but I'm praying that we can have something on Monday to discuss what is happening in Venezuela, right? Or what Venezuela has indicated thus far. So I'll now move to the question I put earlier to you. Will Venezuela strike? And the reason for me asking this question is that I know that many of you out there, you're hungry for information, because information is not coming in a timely manner, in an accurate way, from those in authority who has full responsibility for managing the communication machinery of our state, more so the NCN that is owned by taxpayers, right? So this is what is happening, Guyanese, my brothers and sisters. Venezuela went to a referendum on Sunday, and you know that 5 questions were actually put to the citizens of Venezuela, and out of the 5 questions, there is one, well, all are important, but the most critical one is the annexing of the Essequibo County, right, to Venezuela. Well, the referendum was held, and I think so far, from the reports I got after reading and viewing what has been coming out from Venezuela, about 98% of the persons would have voted in the affirmative based on the questions put to them. And out of a population size or voting population size of 20 million Venezuelans, about 10.5 million voted last Sunday. But may I provide you with a brief background what would have led us to where we are today. We know that in 1899, we had, to be precise, it was on the 3rd of October 1899, we had the arbitral award that was actually given in Guyana's favor, where the boundary lines are concerned, for the Essequibo being in control for Guyana. But it was during the British rule. We were then British Guyana. But mind you, we were ruled also by the Dutch, and then subsequently the British, and I think also this Spanish or something too. I got to do some more research on my history, but I know Dutch and British Guyana. So when we became an independent nation, or just before becoming an independent nation, I think it might have been sometime in February of 1966, when you had the Geneva Agreement, I think was signed. Again, we were still ruled by the colony of Britain. So after independence, or just before independence, there was an agreement number 8192, agreement to resolve the controversy between Venezuela and the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland over the frontier between Venezuela and British Guyana, signed at Geneva on 17th of February 1966. However, in signing this agreement, there are about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 8 articles, of which both then British Guyana and Venezuelan signed on to, right? And the first, I don't want to let me see if I can get the intro properly, so you can get an understanding what is happening here. The government of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, in consultation with the government of British Guyana and the government of Venezuela, taking into account the forthcoming independence of British Guyana, recognizing that closer cooperation between British Guyana and Venezuela could bring benefit to both countries, convinced that any outstanding controversy between the United Kingdom and British Guyana on the one hand and Venezuela on the other would prejudice the furtherance of such cooperation and should therefore be amicably resolved in a manner accepted or acceptable to both sides, in conformity with the agenda that was agreed for the governmental conversations concerning the controversy between Venezuela and United Kingdom over the frontier with British Guyana, in accordance with a joint communique of 7th November 1963, have received the following agreement to resolve the present controversy. So, what are these agreements? One is that I'll try to summarize them as I go quickly in the interest of time. One, a mixed commission shall be established with the task of seeking satisfactory solutions for the practical political settlement of the controversy between Venezuela and the United Kingdom. Remember, we were still being ruled by the British colony, which has arisen as the result of the Venezuelan contention that the arbitral award of 1899 about the frontier between Guyana and Venezuela is null and void. So Venezuela in 1899, though agreed after the boundaries were made clear to this tribunal, come some years after to say that, well, look, the 1899 tribunal is null and void. So the second article in the agreement, with 2 months of the entry into force of this agreement, 2 representatives shall be appointed to the mixed commission by the government of British Guiana and 2 by the government of Venezuela. Secondly, the government appointing a representative may at any time replace him and shall do so immediately should one or both of its representatives be unable to act through illness or death or any other cause. Thirdly, the mixed commission may by agreement between the representatives appoint experts to assist the mixed commission either generally or in relation to any individual matter under consideration by the mixed commission. The third agreement in the third article in the agreement states here, the mixed commission shall present interim reports at intervals of 6 months from the date of its first meeting. Fourthly, if within a period of 4 years from the date of this agreement, the mixed commission should not have arrived at a full agreement for the solution of the controversy, it shall, in its final report, refer to the government of Guyana and the government of Venezuela any outstanding questions, right? Any outstanding questions. Those governments shall without delay choose one of the means of peaceful settlement provided in Article 33 of the Charter of the UN of the United Nations, right? If within 3 months of receiving the final report, the government of Guyana and the government of Venezuela should not have reached agreement regarding the choice of one of the means of settlement provided in Article 33 of the Charter of the United Nations. I'm sorry, I don't have that at hand to refer to it, so you can get an understanding of what the Article 33 really speaks to in the UN Charter, right? They shall refer the decision as to the means of settlement to an appropriate international organ. See here what they say, if the mixed commission can't handle this thing, and the 2 governments too, you understand me, then this thing could go to an international organ upon which they both agree or failing agreement on this point to the Secretary General of the United Nations. If the means to choose do not lead to a solution of the controversy, the said organ, or as the case may be, the Secretary General of the United Nations, shall choose another of the means stipulated in Article 33 of the Charter of the United Nations, and so on, until the controversy has been resolved, or until all the means of peaceful settlement they contemplated have been exhausted. This is what Article 5 is saying. I'm trying to go a little faster. In order to facilitate the greatest possible means of cooperation and mutual understanding, nothing contained in this agreement shall be interpreted as a renunciation or diminution by the United Kingdom, British Guiana, or Venezuela, or any basis of claim to territorial sovereignty in the territories of Venezuela or British Guiana, or of any previously asserted rights of or claims to such territorial sovereignty or as prejudicing their position as regards the renegotiation or non-renegotiation of a right of claim territorial sovereignty. I think, this Geneva Agreement was clear, crystal clear, but Venezuela didn't want to. Venezuela is so determined. They're so determined because it is they who have been stalling this whole process. But anyway, moving on. No acts or activities taking place while this agreement is in force shall constitute a basis for asserting, supporting, or denying a claim to territorial sovereignty in the territories of Venezuela or British Guiana, or create any rights of sovereignty in those territories, except in so far as such acts or activities result from any agreement reached by the Mixed Commission and accepted in writing by the government of Guyana and the government of Venezuela. No new claim or enlargement of an existing claim to territorial sovereignty in those territories shall be asserted while this agreement is in force, or shall any claim whatsoever be asserted otherwise than in the Mixed Commission while that commission is in being. And this is what 6 is saying in the agreement. The Mixed Commission shall hold its first meeting at a date and place to be agreed between the governments of Guyana, and that is governments of British Guiana, because we were British Guiana then, and Venezuela. This meeting shall take place as soon as possible after its members have been appointed. Thereafter, the Mixed Commission shall meet as and when agreed between the representatives. 7. This agreement shall enter into force on the date of its signature. If, upon the attainment of independence by British Guiana, I want you to listen to what it has to say here. Upon the attainment of independence by British Guiana, the government of Guyana shall thereafter be a party to this agreement. So remember, the agreement was basically between then British Guiana and Venezuela. So after we became an independent nation on May 26, 1966, this, Guyana, the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, would have inherited this territorial controversy, right? In addition to the government of the upon the attainment of independence by British Guiana, the government of Guyana shall thereafter be a party of this agreement, in addition to the government of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland and the government of Venezuela. So despite us attaining independence, we still had Britain playing a key role in this whole process, right? And in witness whereof, the undersigned being duly authorized thereto by their respective governments have signed this agreement, done in duplicate at Geneva this 17th day of February 1966 in the English and Spanish languages, both texts being equally authoritative. For the government of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, you had Mr. Michael Strout. He was the Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs. And then for British Guiana, we had our Prime Minister then, LFS Burnham, right? And for the government of Venezuela, you had Ignacio Iribarren Borges. He was the Minister of Foreign Affairs. So I've just provided you, though lengthy, but I trust that you were able to get the gist, because many of you might have been hearing about this 1899 Arbitral Award, and then about this Geneva Agreement of February 1966, but you never get a full understanding of what this agreement really addresses, right? So I've just shared that with you. So fast tracking, We know that despite this whole thing, this agreement here, this is what Venezuela is now holding on to. So they care about the 1899 arbitral award that has already decided that some decades ago that Essequibo belongs to Guyana. So what they're holding fast on is this Geneva Agreement. This Geneva Agreement. But even though in this agreement they're saying that the 1899 arbitral award is null and void, the matter is now before the ICJ, the International Court of Justice. And we have to say big thanks to the coalition government, the visionary coalition government led by David Arthur Granger, who saw the wisdom to take this matter to the ICJ after consulting with then UN Secretary General, I think was what was his name again? Ban Ki-moon or something. Yeah, Ban Ki-moon or something like that, right? So the matter is now before the ICJ for them to deliberate and determine Guyana's case, despite Venezuela do nothing yet. They ain't put forward no strong argument to support or to defend what they're saying. So now that the matter is before the ICJ, what Mr. Maduro did, because he's a failed leader to the people of Venezuela. People leaving every single day for good living standards. Many of them are crossing our borders on a daily basis. So, in the National Assembly, we had a motion passed, an extraordinary sitting on November 6th, of which a motion was passed showing unity between the government of Guyana and the main opposition in this country, that we're united when it comes to our sovereignty. There ain't got no division there. We are united front because we have to protect our nation and that of our people. So after the motion was passed, I thought, wisdom would have prevailed, whereby you had, both opposition and government meeting, strategizing how we can educate our people, don't drive fear into them. They shouldn't be fearful, all will be well. Give us some positive assurance that all will be well despite what Maduro intends to do on December 3rd, 2023. However, that wasn't done. The government went on their own limb, doing XYZ, taking many of the suggestions put forward by the opposition. And through these programs, right, went ahead and they do what they had to do. While the opposition, though limited with resources, we went into schools, we went into communities, we went into regions, and to say to our people that all will be well. We have to be a united force to fight against any aggression that will come up against us by Venezuela. So the referendum was held last Sunday. And after that referendum, or even during the referendum, we had the government held a night of national patriotic reflection, something like that. They deemed it. But what was missing for me, I don't know how many of you listened to Efran's speech. And that was words we were accustomed to leading up to the referendum. He failed to say to that mass gathering of persons on the tarmac at the stadium that this is the strategy, though you may not want to go into details, but the crowd should have left there well informed, well armed with information. Yes, we understand that Guyana has been compliant when it comes to international law. We are doing the honorable thing. But then again, as a father, because there's the president now, so the citizens are supposed to be your children. So you're supposed to be protecting your children. You're supposed to be saying to your children, look, this is what is likely to happen by the Venezuelan government led by Maduro. But this is what your caring government under my leadership will do. He gave us no positive assurance that all will be well in this nation. So last evening, early this morning, we all woke up to what Venezuela, what Maduro, a matter of fact, has stated over the last 48 hours. And I'm going to read the article carried by Demerara Demerara Waves, an online article. So I won't read the entire thing, but read basically what actions Venezuela intends to take. The pro-government Teleshare reported Tuesday night that the following are the 7 actions for the new phase in defense of Guyana Essequibo. So it's not Essequibo, Essequibo, right? And there's 1, creation of a new commission for the defense of Guyana Essequibo, coordinated by Vice President Delcy Rodriguez. You hear? This is 1. Secondly, immediately activate the debate in the NA. I think it is I don't know if they're talking about the Geneva Agreement, right? And in the NA for the approval of the organic law for the defense of the Essequibo Guyana. Thirdly, create the zone of integral defense of the Guyana Essequibo with 3 areas and 28 sectors of integral development to be located in, Tomarimo, right? Fourthly, designate MG Alexis Rodriguez Cabello as sole authority of the Guyana Essequibo, whose political and administrative headquarters will be located in Tomarimo. Fifthly, to create the divisions of PDVSA Essequibo and CGV Essequibo for the exploration and exploitation of gas, oil, and mining. Sixth, to publish and disseminate in schools, high schools, and universities of the country the new map of Venezuela that includes the Guyana Essequibo. So you see what these people are doing? They already got a plan. They're forging ahead. Seventh, activate an integral social attention plan for the entire population of Guyana Essequibo that includes a census and the opening of an administrative service for identification, migration, and immigration office for the delivery of identification cards to the population base in Tomarimo. So you know what? The sixth and the seventh points are saying here. One is that I know in other news outlet, Maduro is quoted as saying that he gave Exxon 3 months, all the oil operators 3 months to vacate. You know what that will be doing to us, Guyanese? We're in serious trouble as a nation. We are in serious trouble as a nation. The seventh is that they're going to conduct. That's the seventh plan, according to Maduro, is that they're going to conduct a census. Remember, we got a census going on right now. It started since last year and seems not to have a completion date. It seems not to have a completion date. So, they're going to conduct, according to Maduro, a census of the population of persons in the Essequibo River there. When that census is then completed, they're going to do whatever migration status to these people, right? And then they will be issued with identification cards. Look, Guyanese, not Venezuela, Essequibo is we own. This has been determined since 1899. On the 3rd of October 1899. But what we're seeing here presently, and I'm going to ask the operator to queue up the address to the nation that occurred midnight last to this nation by Irfan Ali. Well, everybody is sleeping, I guess, including me. So I reviewed the recordings this morning. So I'll have the operator queue up what Irfan would have addressed this nation with. And then I will come back in and we will continue the discussion. I'll open up the phone lines to take 2 or 3 calls and then we will wrap up. Right? So over to you, operator.
Can't be it. Well, if you go in there tonight or another time.
I'll tell you tomorrow. I'll come tomorrow. Because I got it in my bag. Tell you that.
Which this government intends to take in enforcing the outcome of the referendum held on December 3rd, 2023. As I made clear, this is a direct threat to Guyana's territorial integrity, sovereignty, and political independence, and in violation of fundamental principles of international law enshrined in the UN and OS charters. The measures announced are in blatant disregard of the order given by the International Court of Justice on December 1st, 2023. Guyana views this as an imminent threat to its territorial integrity and will intensify precautionary measures to safeguard its territory. I have tonight spoken to the Secretary General of the United Nations and several leaders, alerting them of these dangerous developments and the desperate actions of President Maduro that fly in the face of international law and constitute a grave threat to international peace and security. Also, Guyana will tomorrow bring this matter to the United Nations Security Council for appropriate action to be taken by that body. Fourth, we've engaged CARICOM, the OS, Commonwealth, and many of our bilateral partners, including the United States of America, Brazil, the United Kingdom, and France. The Ghana Defense Force is on full alert and has engaged its military counterparts, including the U.S. Southern Command. By defying the court, Venezuela has rejected international law, the rule of law generally, fundamental justice and morality, and the preservation of international peace and security. They have literally declared themselves an outlaw nation. Nothing they do, however, will stop Guyana from proceeding with a case in the ICJ, or stop the ICJ for ultimately issuing its final judgment on the merits of the case. We will not allow our territory to be violated, nor the development of our country to be stymied by this desperate threat. In addition to this statement, I wish to respond to two questions. One from Stavros, which states, and I will read the question: will the Guyana government report President Maduro's announcement this evening to the United Nations Security Council and the International Court of Justice in light of the latter's order that there be no aggravation of the circumstances? In relation to this question, absolutely, Guyana will be reporting this matter. We have already spoken to the UNSC, and early in the morning, we will be officially writing the UN Security Council. We will be informed before of this development. As I said, in the next 24 hours, we'll be informing all our bilateral partners and different agencies, including CARICOM, Commonwealth, and the West, on this recent development. Let me be very clear that President Maduro action is in open defiance of the ICJ order. In my opinion, he is testing the mettle of the ICJ. He has taken a lonely and worrisome road of neglecting his responsibility as a member of the UN family. Adventurous and reckless path that can only bring instability to this region and can only create more uncertain circumstances for the Venezuelan people. We urge President Maduro to rethink these missteps and to act and behave in accordance with international law. All our actions and everything we do from Guyana is aimed at ensuring this region remains a region of peace. We want nothing. Our only ambition is for this region to remain a region of peace, a zone of peace, and for the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Guyana to be respected. We ask for nothing more or nothing less. So yes, this matter will be reported. We've already engaged. And the second question is from the Guyana Times. What is government's message to investors in light of Venezuela's position? Our message is very clear. Your investment is in a safe, democratic, stable country in which the rule of law prevails. You have nothing to worry about when you invest in a country that governs itself in accordance with the rule of law, that stands on the side of democracy, and that understands what true freedom is. So there is nothing to fear. Our international partners and international community are ready to support us. They have assured us of their support. And all we want is for these missteps to be corrected by President Maduro. And for Venezuela and the government of Venezuela to commit itself to peace and to act in a manner that is fitting of a member of the United Nations family. My fellow Guyans, we are here to ensure safety of this country, the territorial integrity of this country, the sovereignty of this country, and to protect every citizen. Tonight, I wanted to bring every Guyan together to advise on the steps your government is taking in relation to this latest action by Venezuela and these grave missteps by President Maduro. And thank you. God bless you.
Thank you very much, operator, for your full cooperation. So ladies and gentlemen, viewers in TV land, and those of you following me or following this discussion on on my social media platform, you've just heard from Mr. Irfan, the president of this country, and he made several utterances that calling on Mr. Maduro to rethink his missteps. He's calling on peace, which we all would want peace in our nation. And I think one of the questions posed by Guyana Times had to do with what is his message or his government's message to investors. So you see, Guyana Times didn't see it fit to put a question about the protection, about the safety, how your government intends to ensure that every Guyanese man, woman, boy, child are protected in this nation. But so it fit to ask the question, what message you got for the investors, right? What message he has for the investors? Isn't that a slap in our faces? He didn't spend much time other than to say that, safety of country. How you intend to do that? By a couple of helicopters flying across the air on a daily basis? Where are you got a couple soldiers at the borders? Do you have settlements established? That's why you can't fault, you can't fault the late great Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham. That was a visionary leader, a man who said and made it into law that every citizen must be a soldier. I remember stories are being told to me earlier today that Chuba Chamari, you had settlements at Papaya, and all these areas had settlements. That's why you had we call it again, the paramilitary and all the militia, all kind of thing. Burnham knew exactly what he was doing because he recognized that a time will come when Venezuela would want to strike. Hence the question tonight, will Venezuela strike? But what them boys do, everything that Burnham created, they disbanded them. Look where we are today. So in his message there to us last evening, bringing Guyanese together. Are you bringing me together? Are you bringing me together, sir? Are you bringing us together? Don't just give us lip service. We want to see actions. Call the opposition in. Let us sit, hammer out things. I say here, this is what we got available right now, right? And this is how we can approach this thing together, collectively. And once that leadership is shown, I know every Guyanese, whether boy, woman, girl, or man, will fall into line because they're being led. They're seeing true leadership. They're seeing their political leaders standing together to protect not only them, not only their nation, but their interests too. So how you talk about protecting every citizen, how you intend to do it, sir? That's what I want to know. That is why we have been saying in the opposition to our people, y'all need to be vigilant. You need to be vigilant. If you're seeing any funny things happening in your community, reach out to your local representatives, reach out to us in the opposition. Because this government ain't care. And y'all recognize something? Have you recognized something? Well, we had a press conference from him last week, Thursday. One of the international news there in New York, speaking about sovereignty and this and that. I'm talking about Barajaglio. But we want it home here to say, to address this nation, because it's you got we in this mess. And how will you get us out from this mess? Don't hide and play hide and seek or then some in some hole like a turtle. Come out, Barrett, come out. The nation needs to hear from you now. Don't give Ephraim the script to come before the cameras and speak to the people. So we are all united on this front. But the government, they're so hard of hearing. They don't like to take advice. They don't want inclusivity. Look what is happening in Palestine and Israel. Leaders, despite they have their differences, they're meeting, they're discussing, they're strategizing because they got, this is in Israel, Israel, opposition and government meeting because they got a country and people to protect. Look, Venezuela, for a common cause, the two sides got differences, and what they did, they come together. But no, what's happening to us here in Guyana? All right, we hear a statement from CARICOM. CARICOM say what they had to say. I noticed Kamala Prasad, she came out as UNC opposition there, calling for Venezuela to behave themselves. I'll put it nicely. You had just last week, I think, a statement coming out from the leader of the Barbados Labour Party there, or it's the Democratic Labour Party there in Barbados, Dr. Yearwood. You had statements from Brazil president. He put out a statement there. You had statement coming from the Commonwealth and the OAS, right? And the OAS. But you see, I don't want to be too political here tonight. But you're talking about rule of law and Venezuela, Maduro not adhering to rule of law. The very things you accusing Maduro of is the very things you have been doing, sir. Rule of law, appointment of the Chancellor, the Chief Justice. Y'all throw it, you do all sorts of things just to ensure y'all put y'all people in positions. Look what happened at the Police Service Commission, and I can go on and I can cite cases where your regime has defied rather the laws of this nation. So now you know this term rule of law, and calling on Maduro to respect the rule of law. I'm happy that Guyana is doing it at the international level, and I trust we can do it at the local level, Mr. Ephraim Ali. So I will now open up the phone lines for two calls. Operator, just bear with me. I'm winding down. 649-2473. 649-2743. The topic is, will Venezuela strike? I have shared a whole mouthful with you here this evening. I have also shared with you the 7 things that Venezuela, or the 7 actions they intend to take. But it seems as though we don't have a plan. We don't have a strategic plan how we are going to ward off. Though we know that Venezuela, the military is very strong against us in terms of numbers and capacity and all manner of things, but we must be able to have a contingency plan. Even if you don't want to get into details to unveil, go in, let us meet as opposition and government. We hammered out the plans, and then we fan out into communities, into regions, get the national leaders, the parliamentarians. We can get the regional people involved, the councillors, the NDCs. So when we make the plan at the national level now, we can know with one voice, one message. We engage our people at the regional level. Then we go down to the community level, the NDCs and the municipalities, where we can educate our people. Caller, a pleasant evening. Welcome to Let's Talk. Good evening.
It's a cool make a plan how they can deal with Venezuela. You understand? All you want to keep hearing good and the phone can eat by that. They are going to talk for this country was born now or going to there was a plan properly for deal with Venezuela. Thank you. People go with power. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tori. Indeed, time for them to leave the government. Look, when the coalition was in government, we established, we had paramilitary groups in regions, region 2, region, across the regions. We had them when they came into government. They disbanded. They didn't see the need for these people, but they now see the need for the people. They now see the need for the people because Granger knew exactly what was coming the minute operations started operations or exploration in the Essequibo River there by Exxon. People could start getting greedy. And we see exactly what Maduro has done. Greed. So to cover his incompetence, you understand me? He now turned his attention to Guyana by way of referendum because the Venezuelans will be heading to an elections on sometime in 2024, and we know that the United States government would have, they had a sanction on them. They lifted the sanction because he promised them that he's going to deliver free and fair elections. You understand me? So we are in a serious position at this point in time, whereby two-thirds of Guyana, you have been seeing, along the social media spectrum, the depiction, by the different graphics, what two-thirds look like. This is the entire Essequibo. Because as I said before, and what happens in the Essequibo? You got all the mining, all the gold mining. We got gold in region 8, in region 7. We got in region 2, where it's a heavily farming community with other activities. Region 3, part of region 3, because region 3, part of region 3 is region 2. And it starts, I think, just before you cross the Tushen Bridge, that high bridge there. There's a big sign mounted now, welcome to East Bank Essequibo. So it's from there, way back, we'll take in Wakenham, because Wakenham is a part of region 3. So you see what is going to happen? So region 2, region 1, region 2, many of these communities, you can got little timber activities going on, and timber is one of our main resources. So many of our main resources, even in region 7 there, you got quarry production. So all these things, what is going to happen to us? Many people, because if they're now claiming that they give Exxon 3 months to cease operations, many Guyanese are working in the oil and gas industry. You know what is going to happen? People will be out of jobs because Exxon will feel threatened, and with all the investments they would have put in, they don't want to really cease operation because they wouldn't want to lose what they already invested. So many Guyanese will be left jobless. These are the conversation. These are the type of conversations we as political leaders ought to be having with our citizens. And I'm calling, I don't know if they're listening to this program, and I trust they're listening to the voice of wisdom. To the voice of wisdom. The time has come for us to put petty politics aside and come to the table We want unity. This is the time. This is the time. This Venezuela Guyana controversy, territorial controversy, must demonstrate that we are a united nation, a united people. But it has to begin with the leaders leading the way. Caller, a pleasant evening to you. Welcome to this talk.
You don't do that. You play the opposition leader, right? They don't have any place. Every time the opposition leader, they never start to go now when you call up as a man. But this camp is get bad that you who may feel in Ali that will suffer for all this.
Okay, thank you very much, caller. You know, Guyanese are hurting. Guyanese are hurting every single day. People meet you in the marketplaces, people texting you, what is happening? What plan the government got to protect our lives? We're not hearing from the government. Is it true that Jack Dio sell out the whole of secret? But the people are asking. And Mr. Jack Dio, I'm calling on you, sir, since you just be involved in everything like Patsal and Wednesday. I'm calling upon you, sir, to tell this nation, don't use Irfan, you tell this nation, since you are on record saying to this nation, oh, we could give some concession to Essequibo, to Venezuela, for them to access the channel to the Atlantic. People, you got to come and clarify that statement to people, because Guyanese are repeating it in the marketplaces out there, and Guyanese are hungry for information. Come and address this nation. You didn't address the National Assembly when we had the motion. That would have been an appropriate time and place for you to put on record your position regarding Venezuela. What deals you make, sir? I just asking for the people's sake, for the constituencies, for Guyanese who are at a loss at this time. You need to come and say to the people whether Venezuela will strike. And if they'll strike, because you know, words got molding powers, you know. Words have molding powers. So if they're going to strike, what's your plan? What is your plan, sir, to protect Guyanese? Many of them ain't got visas to go to America and to go to Europe like you. Many of them ain't got money split up here, there, and everywhere, probably like you, as it's being alleged. Sir, you have done this country, the people of this nation, a disservice, and you should bow your head in shame. You're not worthy to even be called, as you planted yourself, vice president of this nation. You failed us as a nation. This will be my last call. Caller, a pleasant evening to you. Let's talk.
That will never come from me, right? Shame beating me and pushing the alley in front like a rubber stamp. Ali studying his money, he got to tell you a donkey. But just spending money all the time. But Ali just took it, you take it for yourself.
Yes.
They will put it and this is Venezuela.
Alright, thank you, my brother. Thanks. See? I think another call was coming in. But anyway, I'm preparing to wrap up. So I think, as I said before, that Guyana is in a bad shape. Guyana is in a bad shape. Nothing, you look at it, Guyanese, nothing has gone right. Nothing has gone right since these people returned to government. Every good thing that the coalition built every good thing, whether it's the Natural Resource, whether it's the Natural Resource Act of 2019, the repeal, and bring one where they could get the sticky fingers on it. Every good structure, every system that we put in place. Look, when you pass at the passport office, gone were those days. Long queues. Just on the line. Caller, a pleasant evening. Welcome to Let's Talk.
Good night, Annette.
Good evening, ma'am.
I am so thankful for this thing, but what they're going to do, you know how to go fight this war? They got to go by the vulcanizing shop and get some tires, get some of the thing and make some slingshot or something. But you don't want to go fight like David and Goliath, because I can't see what they could do, because they're not telling us anything. So maybe that is why they're going to get some slingshots. Because I can't see them now up to this time. Instead of trying to tell us how you're going to protect us, you're going to protect the investors.
Exactly.
What happened to us?
That is my point. That is my point. And I'm happy that I'm happy, caller, that I played the recording so that you can hear for yourself, so that the entire Guyana can hear for yourself.
When you see they're talking about the nonsense.
Yes.
And so I hope and I pray to God that we don't have to fight Venezuela.
Yes. Well, we all have to.
You got to put them for fighters, Jadio, Barack, and all of them in front of them. Let they go and do it to the family.
Yes.
Don't put innocent people there when it's Barack who is the cause of this.
Yes.
He is the cause of this government. When Apno was in charge, he stole up all of this.
Yes.
Because of his covetousness.
Yes.
So let them go and fight.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you.
Have a pleasant night.
You too, my dear. Thank you for your contribution. You see, so I'm happy. I am so happy that persons have tuned in and they have listened to what Irfan had to say. I didn't take my words for it. You heard it from the horse's mouth. Investors. And guess who asked the question, as I said before? Guyana Times. And you know who Guyana Times is linked to? Bobby Ramroop. Bobby Ramroop, one of Jagdeo, as is being said or alleged. Let me use that word, alleged, that Bobby Ramroop is his best friend. So you get one of the reporters to ask a question, rather than the reporter asking how are you going to protect the 750,000 Guyanese and this nation. So you see where these people's interest lies? In money. That's where their interest lies. And then, just before you deploy the soldiers to the border, you promise them that you're going to give them house, you're going to give them land. Their lives worth more than land, Irfan. You should be telling them anyway, don't let me say further, but I'll deal with that on another topic. The disrespect. So I'm calling as I prepare to bring the curtains of this program down. And I'm so happy that I had, extra time, because the operator realized that this is a sensitive matter. It's a matter of national importance. And yes, Miss Ferguson, you got to tell it all to the people of this nation. So I am saying to Guyanese, I'm getting another call. I'll take this is going to be the last call. Call a pleasant evening. Welcome to the
Listen, I think we're going to build big business in Barbados. You take your money, give it to these people, that if you go from your border, a piece of the better. You go to people, and then put them together, and you might have done a problem by that. We made it down here, legal this nonsense. That's that.
Yes. Thank you very much, caller. So, callers, this is all the time I have for this program tonight. And as I prepare to take my leave, I want to say to you, Guyanese, that your opposition, led by Mr. Aubrey Compton Norton, we are united on this particular matter. It's all about our territorial, it's all about our sovereignty. And I'm saying to you, we all have to be vigilant. We all have to be watchful. We all have to be our brothers and sisters' keeper, because The People's Progressive Party Civic, they have failed us. They have failed us. Maduro said since late September, early into October, that he was heading to a referendum. And we as a nation only meet on the 6th of November to discuss a motion which is supposed to be uniting us, showing us unity, showing us how we go out and into the communities and educate our people to assuage any fear. But we will continue with the little resources that we have to do what we have to do as a responsible opposition. Secondly, I know that the churches are praying intensely. And I know that the hands of God will move across this nation. And whether Maduro, whatever plan and whatever 7 plans he got to make Guyana Essequibo, it will not come to pass. It will not come to pass because on the 3rd day of October in the year 1899, there was a tribunal award which determined that Venezuela is Guyana, or Venezuela is part of Guyana and not Venezuela. Essequibo, is a part of Guyana and not as Venezuela been claiming it to be. So let us be watchful. Let us be vigilant. Let us be our brothers and sisters keepers. With that being said, I want to say to you, thank you very much for joining this conversation and this discussion this evening. I also thank you, the callers who called and made your contributions, very valid contributions. And these are the sort of discussions we must have. I would encourage you, for those of you who haven't seen this program tonight live, it will be rebroadcast right here on Channel 9 on Friday from 8 to 9 p.m. And you can also subscribe to the YouTube channel of Let's Talk, where you will also see the recording being uploaded there. So as I prepare to take my final leave, I want to say to each and every Guyanese, let us continue to lift our nation up in prayers. Let us continue to call on Almighty God to do what only He alone can do. He created Guyana. He has determined Guyana, and He will protect each and every one of us. Man will fail us, but God never will disappoint us. So I thank you very much for joining me. I do look forward to you joining me next Wednesday for another program of Let's Talk with Annette. Do have a pleasant rest of the night, a pleasant week remaining, and a restful weekend. May God continue to bless us. May God continue to bless your family, and may God continue to bless our beautiful nation, Guyana, the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. Thank you very much, and ta-ta.